one another, they couldn't send, anybody here to actually, answer our questions and also to participate in with us. But I think something that Pastor Alex said, which is mutual respect. Back to you guys. Do you think the respect between authority has gone out of the window? Do you think young people, Rebecca, you can talk because you've got the mic. Do we think young people and respect for authority has gone out of the window? It's no longer there, because that's what a lot of adults actually seeing and feeling around now.
To be honest, it hasn't been there for a while now. It's been a while since young people have had respect for authority, and in particular the police. Yeah, that's.
Is that? Do you think? Yeah. Do you think that's widespread? Do you think that's everybody?
Well, as a young person myself, I can see it. When you listen to certain people's music, they're saying stuff about the police, when really and truly they're just trying to do their job. And with no police, what would the world be like?
It'd be chaotic.
I think, to be quite honest, some people stereotype the police to be like a big bad monster, when really they're just trying to look after us. Without the police, what would happen to us? Some people talk about being stopped and searched I've only been stopped and searched once, and that was with the whole bus got stopped and searched. So I don't know, I can't talk on other people's behalf, but I don't think that the police are that bad, but I don't know. And I
think that's interesting you should say that. There was this idea that the police were not moving in the way we would like them to move. And I think the whole idea that the whole of our community, if the police refused to move, what would life be like? Sorry, back to Celeste, behind you, there.
Yeah, just going back onto what Hannah said, I believe that is actually true, because I'm sure loads of meetings with the youth, with the government have come together, and young people's point of view have been put across, and interviews and stuff like that have been taking place and have been taken to maybe the police station, where all the police come together to meet and discuss the changes that people would like to see. And I just believe that the police don't really listen, because they've probably had the choice and loads of times to make changes, and it seems nothing's being done.
You think the police don't hear young people when they speak? Yes, you can.
I think that, with the rioting, I think what the police done was a bit stupid, because if you could see hundreds of people attacking a shop or burn down a car, you don't have to wait for someone to tell you, stop them. It's a bit obvious, you have to stop them. That's your job. Don't be a policeman. We're watching all the boroughs, we're watching on the news that other boroughs are doing the same thing, and we're watching the policeman just standing there, and then you're telling me after the riots are finished, is anyone going to come out after there's thousands of police officers on the street? No one's that stupid. Now you're on the street, and who's rioting? No one. So who are you protecting? Come on.
Behind you, Karen wants to comment.
I think there's a power issue, because the police are just, not all of them, but some of them are abusing the power. So when you see policemen walking down the street, you automatically think that they have so much authority over you. So maybe the young people feel they have to, yeah.
They do. It's important you recognise that.
But they need to have that respect as well, and we need to return.
What Pastor said. Yeah.
I would say, you've had events like the student protests, yeah, and then people were saying, the police were being too harsh. And then this happened, and then people are saying the police were being too soft. But it seems like we don't know what we want from the police, and we're trying to use the police as an excuse for taking away the responsibility of our own actions. We know our community have done wrong. We've done wrong in sending our community this way, but we're trying to act like, it's just the police, it's the police. But it's got to do with us.
Yeah. Okay. Go on. We'll, after your comment, we want to move on to what's happening now, on the streets, what's happening now, in lives of young people.
I do feel that the same comment, we don't know what we want from the police, but in the same situation, when there's 400 kids rioting, there's only 20 police there. even if it was like
Even if they knew what to do.
there's too many people rioting. I like to also separate the concept of riot and the looting, which, although the looting led from the riots, I think that was just, the riot was a catalyst to the whole looting experience that the whole of the UK faced as well. And I do believe that everyone's looking at the police, but we have to look at the other social issues as well. There's a lot of diverse issues that are affecting a lot of young people, especially in Hungary. I was born and raised in Tottenham. I'm like a pretty old man now.
But
And I would say when Broadwater Farm started as well.
Yeah.
I've been here from Broadwater Farm to now, and there were two totally different incidents, because the difference was that I felt, because I was about 15 at the time, it was a community anger at that time. They were angry for an issue. This was more of it started as a community issue, then it just spiraled out, and you can see like what shops were hit, the Comets, all these kind of shops. I didn't even see TK Maxx get hit. That was left aside. That's how specific they were in their choices. Yeah, but on a 9 to 5 day, TK Maxx is a visitable place, and it's just understanding like the nature of what's happening. We're becoming an increasing consumer society. Our economy is based on a consumer society.
Yes.
If you look at the credit card bills that everyone probably owes, I believe it's 1 trillion now, and we're not even looking at other debts. It's about this uncertain future. Minor stuff like even Spurs may go, therefore it might affect the economy. The EMA's gone, affecting some people's academic aspirations.
Yes.
The cost of going to universities, that's risen up as well. The general cost of living, the cost of gas. It's not just, we're all looking at the young people, but we don't look at how these affect families who look after young people and all the strains they have as well. I think we're looking two things at two focuses. We need to look at a more holistic perspective.
Yes. Behind you, yeah.
Yeah, basically the way I look at this is, first of all, what started off as a protest.
A peaceful protest.
A peaceful protest.
Yes.
I think what happened was there was tension building up over a number of years. People talk about collective memory of things of the past that's happened in Tottenham, actually as a trigger. That may have started off initially in that way. But eventually, I think the other interest groups, people with their own agendas, hijacked the protest and started to pursue it with their own evil, selfish aims and objectives. And also turned into criminality, which is a shame. But I do believe that listening to people on TV, and because I wasn't in the riots, I watched it on TV, same like most people, that people become, the police represent the establishment. And people are becoming more and more, in my mind, anti-establishment.
Anti-establishment.
And because the police represent the establishment, people have a go at the police. And when I say that, the establishment mean the government. I think, as that gentleman said over there, I was thinking in my mind that the cost of electricity, gas, inflation, busting increases in utility bills, telephone bills, EMA is being reduced and so on and so forth. All these things act as economic tensions, and those things are contributory factors that cannot be swept under the carpet by the government. The government needs to address these issues. Having said that, I also believe that there's a breakdown in society, in the family, Our young people are looking to, to these rap artists, as role models.
Yes, that's what I said, yeah.
And there's no father figure in the family, somebody they look up to follow. That gentleman said over there that, there's young people like to follow other people, so they have positive role models to follow. They will follow that as an example. And we don't have many, role models, in our community for our young people to look up to and follow. Positive role models who are, engaging in positive activities. So what I'm saying is that it's quite complex, as David Lambert said. It's quite complex. It's not just one factor. It's a number of multiple factors.
Yes,
but also it doesn't help with the technology we have. Young people are now using the technology in a negative way with BlackBerry, Messenger, and so on and so forth to organize activities or organize riots or get up to mischief, and which is not good. Yes. And also, you see, the police are not perfect. The police come from the community.
They're
the police
human beings.
are human beings, They're not perfect. Of course, when police misbehave, there must be checks and balances, and they must, yes, be punished. If they're not punished, the community will be aggrieved. They will think there's one law for the police and one law for us. But at the same time, if there's no police, there's chaos and confusion.
It'll be chaotic, yes.
And therefore, we need the police, and the police need the community.
Yes.
There must be a bridge between the community and the police.
Yes.
And also, what I'd like to say, as a pastor myself, I do believe in forgiveness. So therefore, the things that past that happened in Tottenham, okay, when you say talk about collective memory, we need to forgive and put the past behind us. If we don't forgive and put the past behind us, therefore, we're constantly looking at as the past as a reason to misbehave.
We're going to give you a chance to get back to that. Okay, one of you guys tell me, and we're going to get to you, what's happening now to young people? What's happening now in our communities, to families in Haringey? What's happening now?
I think basically now the youth are just really stressed because it seems nobody's hearing their cry out. So basically they've been saying it for years and years and nobody seems to be listening to them. Parents are now under a lot of stress because they don't know what to do with their son. They probably know their son's in a gang, they probably know their daughter's in a gang, they probably know all of this, but there's nothing there, there's no foundation for them to like fall back on.
Move on.
There's no...
Okay, behind you, Mark, behind you.
Well, basically, at the moment, a lot of the young people who I've been speaking to who were in some way involved in the riots, who were there on the night, they're very scared at the moment. At the time, it was kind of a spare of the moment thing. It was all part of the hype. They didn't fully understand the consequences of what would actually happen if they were there, if they took a pair of tracksuit bottoms. Some young people, as some older people, went there with the intention of doing harm. Some were just caught up in it. And as we're seeing, there are very harsh sentences happening at the moment. I saw recently that someone got 5 months for stealing a bottle of water. And yeah, young people are scared about what's going to happen.
Yeah, 5 months for stealing a bottle of water. I think this is a good time to read the statement from the police, which will hopefully just also lead us to the solutions.
We have been working tirelessly with our partner agencies and local community groups in order to understand how we move forward following the unprecedented scenes of disorder experienced in Tottenham and across London. The widespread looting and deliberate damage caused to businesses and homes was the worst seen for many years, and the fact that people have lost their homes, possessions and livelihoods is a great sadness to us. We were aware of the community's concerns following the shooting of Mark Duggan and were taking advice from community representatives. However, we had no indication to suggest that Haringey would be subject to such extreme violence. We have continued to engage with the wider community whilst the Independent Police Complaints Commission rightly carries out an independent investigation into the shooting of Mark Duggan and supports his family. We will continue to listen to the concerns of Mark's family and the wider communities as the investigation continues. These have been some of the most difficult and challenging times for our officers, who have been incredibly brave in their actions to protect the community. Our determination to support and protect the community has not wavered. Your dedicated local Safer Neighbourhood team officers continue to patrol the streets of Haringey and to offer reassurance and support to those affected by the distressing events. Thank you for the overwhelming messages of support that have helped the morale of our officers and backroom staff. Over the next month, we are committed to attend a series of listening events across the borough, so that we may understand not only the impact of these terrible events, but also how we move forward as one community in Haringey. We recognise that the vast majority of the community abhor the disorders that took place and have a deep regard for the area in which they live. We share with you those feelings and a determination to return to Haringey to everyday life and business as soon as possible, and to ensure those that harm the community are brought to justice through the courts. The operation to trace those responsible for the disorder and damage to our community and put them before the courts continues, and we ask that if you have any information or recognise any of the people in the photographs on the Met site, www.met.police.uk/disorders suspects, to call the Operation Withen Major Investigation Team on 020 8345 4142 or call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. We are determined to do all we can to build ever stronger community links and forge forward to a safer Haringey with the support of the community.
Berkeley, I'm going to come straight to you. That's the statement from the police.
Okay. Would you like me to state?
What would you like to comment about that?
Mine is that it has come over in terms of like it's all anti the police, and I know from the work that I've done that there's some relationships, some very positive relationships, and clearly it's been said before that in terms of there's not it's not a police-free community. You need your police. You need law and order. If somebody's car is stolen, who do you call? If something happens in terms of your home, who do you call? I mean, that's something that we've always put over to our young people in the community, and that we need that. But you always have exception of the rules, and you may have a team of officers, and you only need two or one. Let's say rotten apple, and sometimes they can actually damage the kind of work that's been done within the community. So we've had a number of projects that we've worked with the police with, very positive, and there's been some positive relationship. It's not relationships being on in terms of yes, it's been relationships to be honest. So we say when things aren't right, and there's complaints, and this is wrong, and it's fair, and it's very respectful, and they'll come in and they'll speak to our young people. Within our projects there, we've had meetings within safer communities coming here, so the young people's, they know officers, they've discussed things with them, they have a row with them, and vice versa. But no, it's been, but it's come over there, it's been a kind of balance. I mean, I like to state right now that the last weekend we just had a carnival, and we've had X amount of young people from Tottenham. I've had 70 young people that I've taken down to the carnival on Sunday, and also on Monday. And those young people was a credit to Haringey, and a credit to Tottenham. And I met quite a few officers that I've worked with in the borough. And we met each other, and we spoke about what we were doing, and it was positive, and we showed people that we need a team. Yeah. It's a team approach in terms of in our community, and that's what came over. So I need to say that, because if people look in the press, they can see that there's 70 young people that we took down to the carnival, and you should know from the news that it was successful. Unanimously successful.
Yes.
So I think the young people need a credit for that.
A bit of a worry.
Okay.
Okay. Can we get to David Lammy? Yes, I think you wanted to.
Can I just, on the policing and stop and search, the number one crime issue that young people raise in this constituency, the number one fear and concern that they have is knife crime.
Yes.
It is what is going to happen to me on my way to school. What is going to happen to me if I go into a neighbourhood different to mine? That requires police.
Of course.
And it does also require stop and search. And I don't think we can run away from that issue. My view is that we do need a police force that looks like London, because these issues come back to trust. And so it's hugely important that we have a police force where the police officers were born and raised in Hackney and Stockwell and Tottenham and places like that. And until we get that, there will always be a trust deficit when you're stopped and searched, particularly if it's done in a way that is hostile. Yeah. And let me just say, I've been stopped and searched. I've got a hoodie. I don't always wear a suit.
Okay.
And certainly if I'm in a car, I'm like anybody else. So we've got to get that context right. I think it has improved, but I think it's still got a long way to go. And just on this second point, again, I want to say, despite the cuts, the vast majority of young people in Tottenham were not caught up in these riots. So it can't just be the cuts as the reason. Having said that, we cannot ignore that there is an air of hopelessness. Unemployment in Tottenham is the highest in London. Tuition fees puts poor families off the prospect of university.
There's no way of getting out.
And going to college has become harder. If your parents have English as a second language, all of that money has been cut. So there is an air of hopelessness, and it is important that the government address a brighter future for young people.
Youngsters, yeah.
And that